Inside the bright papaya glow of McLaren's garage, what once looked like the sport's most harmonious young driver pairing has evolved into Formula One's most compelling off-track drama. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris were supposed to be the partnership that carried McLaren into the new era of regulations. Two young lions, two razor-sharp talents, and a team finally fighting for world championships for the first time in over a decade. Yet, as the 2025 season unfolded, something changed. The chemistry shifted, the atmosphere tightened, and behind closed doors, Piastri's trust in McLaren appears to have fractured beyond repair. Rumours that once seemed impossible are now gathering frightening momentum. According to multiple senior figures in the paddock, Oscar Piastri is preparing to leave McLaren at the end of 2026, despite being under a long-term contract. And at the heart of this growing story lies an accusation that has shaken the paddock. McLaren, some insiders claim, may have slowed down Oscar Piastri to benefit their star asset, Lando Norris. It sounds outrageous, the type of allegation that sends shockwaves through team principals' offices and fan bases alike. But as the details emerge, the picture becomes more layered, more emotional, and far more dangerous for a team that insists nothing is wrong. On paper, McLaren denies everything. Zach Brown and Andrea Stella have repeatedly dismissed any notion of internal favouritism, insisting the team treats both drivers equally. Yet across the 2025 season, patterns began to form that neither the media nor the fan base could ignore. Minor strategy differences, odd pit calls, different treatment during critical race-defining moments. A hierarchy that seemed, intentionally or not, to place Norris at the forefront of the team's long-term project. Fans noticed, rival teams noticed, and crucially, according to respected voices in the paddock, Piastri's own camp noticed too. Former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher was one of the first to hint at where these whispers were coming from. The rumours, he suggested, did not appear out of nowhere. They may have originated from within the Piastri camp itself. And that matters because Piastri's manager is none other than Mark Webber, a man who carries scars from one of the most infamous teammate power struggles in modern F1 history. Webber knows what it means when a team appears to value the other side of the garage more. He knows the feeling of watching strategic choices tilt one way, and he knows how subtle decisions create a long-term psychological fracture that no amount of corporate statements can heal. And that is why the tension at McLaren feels so real. Webber has lived this before. If one moment defined the start of Piastri's frustration, it was the Italian Grand Prix. Norris, the lead car, allowed Piastri priority on pit strategy to protect him from a Charles Leclerc undercut. It was a team-first move, exactly the type of cooperation McLaren had been promoting internally. But on Norris's next lap, the wheel gun failed. A 5-second delay dropped him behind Piastri, suddenly shifting the race dynamic. Last year in Hungary, a similar situation saw Norris gain an advantage, and the team immediately instructed Piastri to give back position. This time, McLaren issued the same instruction. Piastri's response said everything. "We said a slow pit stop was part of racing. I don't really get what changed here," but he complied. He always complies, and that dynamic has slowly eaten away at him. On track, the inconsistencies amplified the off-track narratives. Piastri struggled badly at low-grip circuits. McLaren insisted it was a driving-style challenge, but fans and even Bernie Ecclestone began to ask harder questions. Ecclestone did not hold back. "When the season started, I thought our Australian driver would be world champion," he said. "I thought he would win easily, but something's holding him back. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's McLaren holding him back or what." That line lit a match. Those 10 words spread across the paddock within minutes. When the former ruler of F1 publicly questions whether a team is manipulating performance, the sport sits up straight. His comments escalated. There was a bit of a problem inside the team. It looked very much like they were favouring the British driver. Norris has more star power, more marketing value. To millions of fans, it suddenly all made sense. A global marketing asset versus a quiet, understated Australian. McLaren, they argued, knew where the money was. Fair or not, perception in Formula One often becomes reality. Then Mexico happened. Norris was loudly booed by sections of the crowd. Piastri was cheered like a hero. This wasn't about race results. This was fans taking sides in an internal team war. It was the first sign that the tension had broken through the garage walls and spilled into the public domain. Fans do not boo drivers by accident. Something poisonous had seeped into the narrative. And from that moment, the rumour mill never slowed down. Ralf Schumacher warned, if the rumours are coming from Piastri's camp, then that is a dangerous game, unless you're planning to leave. Then you can do it. Schumacher then added something more pointed. When confidence erodes, it is a sure sign you must draw conclusions and leave the team. Behind the scenes, sources connected to McLaren and 2 rival teams have suggested that Piastri Piastri's trust in McLaren's leadership has taken a hit so severe that it may now be irreversible. The once rock-solid long-term contract suddenly appears far less secure in spirit, even if difficult to break on paper. The arrival of the 2026 regulations gives every top team a chance to reshuffle driver plans. Some teams that previously could not open the door for Piastri now can. Others, armed with new engine partnerships or fresh strategic visions, are suddenly willing to pay whatever it takes. Piastri, still only in his mid-20s, is one of the most valuable drivers on the future market. His raw speed, calm temperament, and technical feedback make him the type of driver teams build entire programs around. And one team in particular has taken notice. A team preparing for a major push in the new engine era. A team with budget, ambition, and a vacancy for a certified race winner. Piastri knows it. His management knows it. McLaren knows it too. The truth is likely more complex than conspiracy. The data shows Piastri has struggled at low-grip venues. The Azerbaijan weekend was a disaster entirely of his own making. The Austin sprint incident was a major misjudgment. Not everything has been a shadowy plot, but in Formula One, the emotional interpretation often matters more than the statistical explanation. If a driver believes that his team is not fully behind him, the effect is identical to the team actually working against him. Loss of trust becomes loss of performance. Loss of performance becomes loss of unity. Loss of unity becomes loss of future. And that is precisely where the Piastri-McLaren relationship appears to be heading. Whether McLaren genuinely manipulated anything, or whether Piastri simply interpreted events through the lens of internal tension, the result is the same. The relationship has cracked. And in modern Formula One, once that happens, there is rarely a way back. As one senior paddock insider put it, you can repair a car, you cannot repair trust. And so, the paddock expectation is growing rapidly that Oscar Piastri will part ways with McLaren at the end of 2026. But because Piastri no longer believes McLaren is the place where his career can flourish without interference, whether real or perceived, Formula One history is full of these moments. Senna leaving McLaren despite winning, Alonso leaving Renault despite championships, Webber leaving Red Bull despite success. In each case, the root cause was the same. The driver felt the team had stopped being their team. Oscar Piastri, it seems, has reached that point. If Piastri walks away, the legacy of this chapter will not be about conspiracies or pit stops. It will be about a relationship that was destined to be golden but collapsed under the weight of mistrust, perception, and internal politics. McLaren believes it has done nothing wrong. Piastri believes something is very wrong. In Formula One, only one belief matters: the driver's. And Oscar Piastri may now be convinced that his future lies far away from the papaya walls. Has Oscar Piastri been treated unfairly at McLaren, or are fans reading too much into the drama? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, bye for now.